Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb, and this is the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of our program. And on the Zoom this morning, we have from the Grand Ole Opry, T. Graham Brown. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh man, thanks for having me, Frank. I appreciate it, buddy.
Well, you've
How's
got
how's everything in your neck of the woods
it's
today?
beautiful. Corning, New York, everything is beautiful as always. How about you?
Oh, Nashville's great. It's hot out there today, but
Sure.
it's that time of year.
That's right. So you've got a new album out from Memphis to Muscle Shoals. Before we start talking about that, I've had so many people tell me what a great job you did on Fox News the other day.
Oh, thanks, man.
Isn't that nice? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad people saw that.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time Fox has ever interviewed me.
Yeah. Well, it turned out great. And as soon as I mentioned you were going to be on the show, everybody kept bringing it up. So it's a tough on my job because now I have to be good. So, so where did the idea come from Memphis to Muscle Shoals?
Well, I guess it started in the 60s. I'm 69 years old. I grew up in the 60s listening to AM radio. There was no FM, and a lot of people probably won't remember transistor radios or even what a transistor radio was, but I had a little transistor radio that was just glued to my ear.
Yeah.
And I would listen to all kinds of music, but listen to the top 40 of the day, the Stones and the Beatles, sure, of course, and all the soul music, Otis Redding and Sam and Dave and Wilson Pickett and Aretha Franklin and Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee Lewis. I listened to a little bit of everything, but I just have always loved soul music. When I started singing, a lot of people don't know, when I started singing for a living in 1973, I sang soul music.
Oh, okay.
And I finally moved to Nashville in 1982. So in Athens, Georgia, for 9 years, I had a soul band.
Oh.
So when I moved to Nashville, I started singing songwriter demos, and they were mainly country songs. But I've always had one foot in the R&B world, and it's basically a pet project. I've been wanting to cut a 1960s soul tribute album, and songs that were originally cut in Memphis or in Muscle Shoals. I'm a huge Memphis, Stax Records, High Records that Al Green was on. And then down in Muscle Shoals at Fame Studios, they cut a ton of soul hits, Percy Sledge, Aretha Franklin, a whole lot of things. So we went down to Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, so that's a studio that a lot of those hits were originally cut in. And so we called it From Memphis to Muscle Shoals because we cut songs that were either originally recorded in Memphis or Muscle Shoals. And so we cut 14 tracks of my favorite old soul songs, and it wasn't planned to be a duet album, but
sure,
I was talking to Dwight Yoakam. Dwight's an old friend of mine. Our first albums came out within a year of each other, and we've been friends since probably 1985, I guess. So we keep in touch with each other, and he was asking me what I'd been up to, and I told him about this soul project, and he asked me if I had cut this song called I'm Your Puppet.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. And he said, that's one of my favorite songs. Can I sing on it? Can I put a vocal on it? And I said, yeah, man, that'd be awesome. And so he went in the studio out in Hollywood and did his part and really worked hard on it. He sang the duet part, and then he went back and sang harmony on everything. He's a perfectionist, so he did a great job. And then I got to thinking, man, maybe I should call Tanya.
Yeah.
And see if she would do it. And I knew she would. And so I called her up, and we went out to her place in Texas and recorded her in her living room. And then I thought, man, why not call Winona for this Al Green track? And
sure.
She said yes. And I thought, man, Sam Moore, Sam Moore from Sam and Dave, he's 87 years old. He's been a friend of mine for about 30 years. And so we flew down to Miami. He lives down there, and there's a historic studio down there called Criteria.
Okay.
And we recorded him there. And then I called Little Anthony from Little Anthony and the Imperials. He lives down in Boca Raton, Florida. So we went to a studio called the Power Station in Fort Lauderdale and recorded him. And Delbert McClinton, one of my all-time heroes, I recorded him in a friend of my studio here in Nashville. He sang Mustang Sally with me. And Randy Houser, a country artist, has a studio at his house. He went over there and got a vocal on him singing, sitting on the dock of the bay. And there's this lady named Betty Levette. A lot of people don't know about her. She grew up with Aretha Franklin.
Okay.
She lives in New York now. She's a soul singing, great soul singing woman. And she put her part on in New York City, a studio up there. I have a friend named Zach Williams, who's a big Christian artist right now. He's a really soulful guy. And he's singing When a Man Loves a Woman with me. And Sammy Hagar, we cut this cool old Rufus Thomas song called Walking the Dog. And Sammy did his part at his house in California. And so I just got Eddie Floyd, who wrote and sang the original song Knock on Wood, came to Muscle Shoals, and we got him. It's great singing a duet on Knock on Wood on a song that Eddie had a hit on.
Of course.
And he's 85, I think. I wanted to get some of these older guys on there just to show the world they could still cut the mustard, and they all did a great job.
Oh, sure. So
it kind of turned into a duet. We got 11 duets out of 14 tracks on it.
Wow.
So, but we even used some of the original instruments that were used on those original tracks. Wow. I got David Hood people don't realize that I cut most of my country hits in Muscle Shoals.
Oh, okay.
Using the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. People call them the Swampers. Yeah. But they played on my records, and they have all passed away except for David Hood, the bass player. So we got David Hood to play bass on all these tracks.
Oh, wow.
And so we could have a link to that era, and
that's amazing.
And we used the Muscle Shoals horns, and we got background singers from down there. So I had a lot of fun doing this record.
I'm sure. Well, looking at Fame Records, I had the honor to talk to Rick Hall before he passed away about the history of, and it is how much they accomplished with what they had was just so remarkable, and to basically change the sound of music as we know it.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Rick was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
The Little Anthony duet is called "You Better Move On," and that was the first hit ever recorded at Fame in 1961, I think. And so, it was, like I said, it's a tribute album, and we recorded it exactly the way they recorded it back then. So the record really, we wanted the record to sound like it was recorded in, say, 1967. So we tried to make it authentic, and I think we came pretty close to it. And like I said, it was a blast to do.
Was it difficult to pick the songs? Because you look, and I think Arthur Alexander is so underrated. So you have that, you have Anna, and you had so many, and that's just one example. So many songs you could have picked from each of these artists. Was it difficult to pick your favorite?
Man, you said it. There's so many. I hope we get a chance to do volume 2, because there's so many songs that I wanted to do that we weren't able to do. But I think we got a pretty good cross section of songs, from the Memphis, the Stack studio. So many hits came out of that, and then there was High Records that Al Green's hits were on. So there's just so many that you could do.
Is it intimidating almost doing some of these songs? Oh yeah.
It's very intimidating.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go in and cut a better version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay?
Right.
I mean, it's pretty audacious and cheeky to think you can go in and cut Mustang Sally with
Right.
Elvis Clinton. But I guess you just run the risk anytime you do any kind of tribute album.
Yeah.
I think that there's some country artists, current country artists that did a Tom Petty.
Oh yeah, I saw that
Tribute album. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan, but I mean, and they've done a Rolling Stones tribute album, so it's always, you run the risk of looking stupid.
Yeah, but you're doing it from a place of love, right? It's not like you actually went in there and said, I'm going to be Percy Sledge,
Yeah, well, I'm glad you look at it that way. I hope everybody will look at it that way. It's just, like I said, it's just a tribute.
Mm-hmm. What do you think it is about these songs when you read the track list that just makes them so eternal? They'll be around long after we're all gone.
Well, they're great songs.
Yeah.
A great song will live on.
Yeah.
A really good friend of mine actually came to one of our shows the other night. Is Dan Penn.
Okay. And
Dan Penn wrote, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the songs that are on this album. Dan's great.
Wow.
So and Spooner Oldham, and then Chip's Moman was in Memphis, and he had a studio called American Sound, and I think the Box Tops, and there were a bunch of people that recorded there also. But I think they're just, I mean, Steve Cropper is on this record. He's a great friend of mine.
Oh, really? That's wonderful.
Yeah, Steve and I have been buddies almost 40 years now. And I told Sheila we were going down the road yesterday, and a Booker T and the MGs song came on, and I thought, we always look at it. I said, there he is again, Cropper. It seems like every movie I watch, there's a Steve Cropper song in it. Yeah. So yeah, there's some legendary songwriters on this record too, and of course Al Green. And
oh yeah,
I think it's just the songs.
Yeah. Did Steve Cropper play on Sitting on the Dock of the Bay with you?
No, I don't think
so. I was going to say, because that would be kind of eerie.
No, but I did an album. My last studio album was a gospel album, and we did People Get Ready. Me and Leon Russell and Steve Cropper played guitar on that.
Wow. I could talk this kind of stuff all day, but let me change tune a little bit. The new album is called From Memphis to Muscle Shoals. It's available August 2nd, but I'm sure everybody's asking you, we see the post in the background. What's it like to be the newest Opry member? May 3rd.
Oh, man, it's awesome.
Yeah.
This stuff, this stuff behind me is just leaning up against the wall. Oh. It's the only place I could pull the chair that didn't have a window behind it. But yeah, that's that poster behind us commemorates. It says May 3rd, 2024. That's the Grand Ole Opry framed that for me and gave it to me. And then some friends of mine, you see the Ryman Auditorium behind me. Some friends of mine had that framed for me also. And hey, let me show you something cool. You want to see something cool?
Yeah, of course.
The Grand Ole Opry gave me this trophy.
That's amazing.
This is what they give the members when they're inducted, and it's a microphone stand with a microphone on top of it. So that's real cool too. But doing the Opry is awesome, man. I'm doing it tonight, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's the biggest career achievement. Sheila and I, my wife Sheila, has been taking care of me for 46 years. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't even be here. So it's the biggest career achievement we've ever had.
Yeah. Is it still kind of nerve-wracking playing the Opry even after all this many times that you played it?
Yeah, it's the only place I ever get nervous in.
Isn't that right?
Hey, when you walk out there and you're standing in that circle of wood that they cut out of the floor of the Ryman Auditorium, and you know the the Opry's been around. You know, next year will be 100 years that
That's
the
amazing.
Opry's been on the radio.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just hard to describe, man. There's nothing like it.
No,
Hey,
well,
it's the Grand Ole Opry.
exactly. Exactly. Congratulations. I was so excited to see that. Also, I know you probably get asked this a lot because I know you've got a lot of these to do and I don't want to keep you too late. So are the family country reunions all over with now?
Yeah, the man Larry Black,
Mhm.
the producer of those shows, the guy that organized everything and paid for everything and booked the studio and the crew and booked all the talent and all that. He broke his back in a ATV accident, so he's never really fully recovered from it. So I think he's pretty much retired. So
Gotcha.
I don't know if there's ever going to be any more of those.
That's a shame because it gave someone like me the opportunity to maybe find out about people I'd never heard of before
They were great.
and expands your musical knowledge. They were wonderful, but I will say they still hold up. So it's not as if people can't go back to the old ones and watch them.
Yeah, they're awesome, man. And for me to be included sitting around in that circle, I never felt worthy to even be there. But yeah, it's great. And you know, I think he did that for 20 years. So
Yeah.
you can go way back and see stuff. There've been so many artists that have died.
Yeah.
So it's really a time capsule.
It really is. And I'm so glad that he did that because there's people, again, that you will never have the opportunity to see again and to hear their stories and see them laughing and telling great tales. It's an amazing show. Um, a couple of quick things before we go. I know you mentioned this on Fox, but during your career, I think it's important to bring this up, especially this time of year. How important has your faith been in your career?
Well, man, I couldn't do anything without God's help.
Right.
You know, I went through a period of addiction. I was all drunk and doped up for a long time, and I would get on the horse and ride a while and fall off, and get on the horse and ride a while and fall off. I just never could stay sober. And finally, I'm 69 years old. I'll be 70 in a couple of months, and I guess I was 55, I think. And I just woke up. I was all bloated and hungover
Yeah.
again. I was hungover every day, and the only way to get rid of a hangover is start drinking again, you know. And then you're back in that circle, you know. It goes round and round and round. It's hard to break free from it. And I just woke up one morning, man. I think I finally had my head right, my heart right, and I looked in the mirror. It's a cliche of a story. People have
Yeah.
heard this story before, but I just looked in the mirror I remember talking to myself. I said, "Man, what are you doing? You're
Yeah.
about to blow everything. You're
Hmm.
about to lose your wife, your job. You're about to blow everything. You gotta do something. You're smarter than this. You got to do something about this."
Yeah.
And I asked God to help me. And you know, since that instant, I have not had one craving.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
I went from looking for a buzz 24/7. If I was awake, I was either buzzing or looking for a buzz.
Yeah.
And I went from that to never even thinking about it anymore. So I got to say it was a miracle for
That
me.
is. That's amazing. I'm so glad you could tell that story. And just before we go, I want to recap here from Memphis to Muscle Shoals, available on August 2nd. Where can people buy the album and
Go
pre-order?
to go to tgrambrown.com and pre-order. We're going to have vinyl also.
Oh,
So
wow.
just go to tgrambrown.com. You can find out anything, our schedule, our tour schedule, you know, all kinds of
Sure.
stuff. We got a store on there. And one of the things you can get is pre-order the album. So I urge you, if you like soul music,
Yeah.
this is a really cool record.
And I think you're right. I imagine there could be 2, 3, 4 more volumes because I'm thinking of all these songs I can't wait to hear on here. I can only imagine what you went through picking the songs.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing another record, and we're going to also do we're going to also do the same type of record, but using 1960s country songs too.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, I love it. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. Best of luck with the new album and find out more at tgrambrown.com. Thank you.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, and God bless you, and God bless all your viewers, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.